It was late September 2005. I went on my first deployment to Afghanistan. I was with SEAL Team 2. This was just 3 months after June 28th. For those of you that don't know, June 28th was Operation Red Wings. It was the biggest loss the SEAL teams had ever experienced in that specific moment in time. Usually when you deploy, the team that's in country, there's a big turnover. The team that's in country, they do a turnover to the new team that's going to take their place, and you talk about what works in combat, what doesn't work, what kind of missions were they running, what bad guys are we after, all of that stuff. Usually takes at least a week. Except this time, there was no brief. There was no brief because there was no one left alive to do that turnover. They were all dead, except one. And so the one brief that we did get was from a junior intelligence officer. What that brief consisted of was, one, he read Marcus Luttrell's after-action reports on what happened that day. It was a starch reminder of what we might be getting ourselves into. In the second part of that brief, he showed us a propaganda video that Taliban had created as a recruitment video. In that video was footage of the actual gunfight that went down on June 28. There was footage of them shooting our helicopters down. They went in to save the 4 operators that were on the ground. But what stuck out to me most in that video was one of the SEALs that had just been killed in action. He was laying upside down on the side of a mountain. And all around him he had a swarm of Taliban fighters. His cami top was pulled over his chest. You could see exposed skin. And I remember watching these fighters, and they were pillaging all of his gear off of his body, taking his watch off his wrist. Another one picked his rifle up, trying to figure out how to turn his laser on. Another one holding his ID up to the camera, showing the world who they had just killed. And the thing I remember most about this segment was I saw what appeared to be a fresh tattoo on this KIA'd SEAL's ribs. I looked over at my teammate who was sitting to my right, and he was crying. And before I could say anything to him, he looked at me and he just said, "I remember the day he got that tattoo. Now the SEAL laying lifeless, upside down, surrounded by Taliban fighters, was Danny Dietz. That is just one scenario of many that plays out in my head this time of year. Some of you get it, some of you don't. A lot of you know exactly what it's like to lose somebody in the blink of an eye. For the benefit of everybody else that lives in this country. And as civilians, some of you want to know, how can you honor these guys? These men and women, these service members that have died for everything that we've come to enjoy, our sense of security, our freedoms in this country. And I know that can be tough. Vets get real grumpy around this time of year. We've lost a lot of brothers. And to us, that's family. You thank us for our service. We get upset because it's not about us. But I'm here to tell you one thing. It doesn't matter what we think. Here's what matters. When you go home tonight and you look at yourself in the mirror, you're getting ready for bed, you look at yourself in the mirror, and you ask yourself one question. Was I an American that was worth dying for today? And if the answer is yes, you're doing everything those service members that died for us would have ever wanted. Carry out our traditions, carry out our culture. Stand up for what you believe in, stand up for what's right. That's all you need to do. Just ask yourself, was I an American that was worth dying for today?